Wells only and his guests are not responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weekends. Where the haters at? Y'all bitches still ain't showed up. And now, right, we got Hex. Flawless uptime. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart.
This is Wales only. Glad you guys can make it out. I'm making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're gonna pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. We're obliterating everybody, literally. There is nobody else that comes close to what Hex has done. Oh, it's about to get funky. Funkier than you could have ever imagined. You know, Richard Hart is a boss. Hex is literally the best thing on the planet. It's simple mathematics. Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. People motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. I mean, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all deep. Everybody. My God. Hex Asians, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. Everybody gets me. Yo, when is it told you? Dollar told you. Everybody done told you. It's crazy. Good evening and good morning and good day to wherever you are at, Hex fam. Shout out to y'all for tuning in on this fabulous Monday evening. It is Monday, right? I'm really bad at keeping track of days because I just live. I don't really bother with the rest. You know, I learned that lesson a long time ago in life. Don't count the days, just live. If you're a real one, you already know what I'm talking about. Anyways, shout out to everybody out there. So it's gonna be another good one today. The internet, man, it just keeps dropping these bombs, yo, and it's just crazy how much information is out there that is useful to us, and kept from us at the same time. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware of what happened today, but we're going to talk about it, and we're going to start off actually with that because this is pretty important. And it's gonna come and smack you in the face eventually. And you know, this is just very bad, and you know, there's nothing good about what is happening right now. And I'm not really even trying to be an alarmist. I'm just being straight up. You know, it's just facts. And we are going to witness them tonight collectively because these are important topics, guys. You know, we can pretend to have better things to worry about, but, you know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. This is what ultimately matters the most, because if you don't have peace in your own home, well, you don't have anything. And that's very important to understand because that is exactly where things are going, folks. You don't got to like it. You don't got to agree with it, but you better accept it because the evidence is coming to you tonight. Straight to the face. Straight to the face because that's ultimately the point of these streams, Me talking about it isn't doing shit for you. Like you need to see what these people are doing and saying. You need to understand that these people have no problem treating you like what they think you are. They don't mince words. They speak clearly. And there's a lot of things going on in your face. And you don't even realize it. But it is happening, folks. Um let me see. I'm almost done here, guys, and we're gonna get right to it. Cause this shit is real. And I really want you guys to understand this because this shit is real life. Now, I want to preface all this by saying America is a land of immigrants. I'm first born American. So my customs aren't even fully American. So when we're reaching a point that immigrants and sons of immigrants are raising red flags, might be time for motherfuckers to start paying attention. Just something to think about. Because honestly, at this point, I don't even know what to say anymore. I really don't. Um, because things are coming to a head. I never thought I would live through movie shit, but here we are. And if you don't realize that that's what this is, well, guess what? Don't worry about it. You're going to realize real soon. Because pretending isn't doing shit for anybody, just for you. So don't worry. Be happy. Because they are not hiding any motherfucking thing. They're really not. So people pretending, you can continue to pretend. And they're out there. There's a lot of people out there pretending. But, let me just organize these clips. Because, it is game time, folks. And it's just not what you thought it was going to be. They're preparing to contain you. You are the enemy, the viewer. Period. If you're a domestic individual that believes in the basics of this country, you are the enemy. Plain and simple. You don't gotta like it. You don't gotta agree with it. But guess what? They sure as hell look at you like that. Doesn't matter if you like it or not. That's just what it is. So, at this present moment in time, they are doing their damnedest to release all their weapons on you because they only have 11 months to pull it off. Now, all this grim shit is rather annoying. So let's start off with a little laugh. But it is what's happening, and it's important that you understand that it is happening. Because guess what? The only people that are there to warn you are the people that you watch on YouTube and whatnot. I mean, you are your own warning, basically, is what I'm getting at. So, good luck to us all. For those of you that have no battle training, no battle readiness, no nothing, please find some quickly because you are going to need to learn how to fend for yourself here real soon in the United States. And I'm not talking about from thugs and all that bullshit they got you believing on fucking TV. I mean from real enemies. So good luck to all, and let's start this off with a good laugh. This is a lady acting like a robot, by the way. Shit's pretty crazy, right? Yeah, that was pretty good. All right, so today the Supreme Court essentially said, let the enemy in, the actual enemy, your enemy, let them in. They, as you guys remember from a few streams ago, maybe probably a few streams ago. I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but well, let's see if we find it here. Actually, here we go. Yeah, Supreme Court sides with Biden in Texas border razor wire case. Now, as you guys might or might not know, Texas sent out the National Guard to area of Texas called Eagle Pass on the Rio Grande and all that. And long story short, our Supreme Court is a part of the problem. They said, "Fuck y'all, let them in." And here's the headline from when it happened. This was a while ago. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled on a 5-4 vote that the federal government can remove Texas's border barriers, such as razor wire, which is interesting because Texas is a state and the federal government ain't got nothing to do with that. So it's very interesting that the Supreme Court decided to vote against you, the people. Now let's see what this video has to say.
Control of this park.
And I didn't even do a sound check today, but I'm presuming that you guys see what's going on.
Under Governor Abbott's emergency declaration, the Texas National Guard has seized control of this park and some surrounding land along the river, put up fencing and razor wire, and kicked out federal Border Patrol agents, arguing that it's the Biden administration that has perpetuated illegal crossings. So Texas is going to control this land from here on out. Our crews have seen what appears to be Texas National Guard blocking Border Patrol agents from key areas of the operation here. And senior Border Patrol agents confirmed to Fox News that BP has pulled resources to avoid a confrontation. Well, now under Governor Abbott.
That's number one. Let's see what's going on here. Breaking. This is the headline. I already had it open. But here we go. After desperate blah, 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 here are your federal agents raising wire with a forklift to let the so-called migrants in last year. Right, this is last year. And these are the feds doing this, by the way. Yeah. Well, there you have it, folks. Let's move on to the next one. Now check this out. This is in New York. A family has apparently moved to some dude's work trailer after getting kicked out of the shelter. And apparently he's called the NYPD and they're just saying there's nothing they can do. Of course that's what they're gonna say, because that's what they're being told to say. But they're invading private property. So that's trespassing. I mean, this is real basic. Anyway.
Bro, you definitely can't make this up. Somebody in there? No matter how many times we call Child Protective Service or NYPD, they don't show up. We can't physically go into that trailer with children in there. We cannot physically lock the trailer because children are in there. And we definitely can't drive away with the trailer because children are in there, as you can see. We went to the migrant shelter to figure out what's going on in there to make these guys want to live in the trailer, like someone suggested in my comment section. We went there. Someone there basically told us that these people are coming inside the shelter with 4 to 5 hot plates and cooking with them running simultaneously. The problem with that is it's tripping the circuit breaker in the hotel, which causes a blackout, which is a security issue. When the city goes in to do an inspection and they see these hot plates, they throw them away. When they threw the hot plates away, these people got in their feelings and they bounced. They dipped out of the hotel on their own free will, and now they're living in my uncle's trailer. The problem with that now is we can't get them out due to political legalities. We just got to sit here and just wait. You see, they playing lotto and all type of stuff, all losing tickets. So they don't really have a clue what they're doing. They're in the migrant shelter trying to be Chef Boyardee. Want to cook in the people's place so they can go sell food on construction sites. Come on, bro. There's nothing going on. The people in the shelter told us that they're living like kings. They got cable TV, rec room, video games, people coming for counseling, all type of stuff that the homeless do not get. Come on.
Real talk.
This video will show you how geometric patterns laid up together create our physical reality. This reality is created out of frequency, vibration, and energy. Every vibration has its own specific geometric pattern. Just 500 years ago, we had a deep understanding of this principle because it was reflected through our architecture. You're probably thinking, where am I going with this? This is the effect of certain frequencies being played through water. Well, I'm here to remind you that every thought you think, every word that you say, and every emotion that you feel is a vibrational frequency. And you are made of 80% water. Your thoughts, emotions, and words are manipulating geometric structures within the water molecules within your body and your reality around you. Your mind is a manifesting supercomputer. All you have to do is to set your mind to the frequency of what you want, and you become that reality. This is why we call it a mindset.
Something to think about, people. Now let's listen into the boss.
The papers I found on my desk was a document entitled Operation Majority, and it was not the entire paperwork involving this operation, but was merely a synopsis of the operation and projects contained under it. One of these projects was called Project Red Light. The purpose, according to this document, was to back engineer captured extraterrestrial technology for adaptation into the United States space program. Now, I have since come to believe that the extraterrestrial portion of all of this is nonsense, but that the technology is real. I believe that many of us were shown these documents over the years so that later we would talk about it. I mean, how can you keep the existence of extraterrestrials, if they were real, a secret? And how could anyone keep quiet knowing that they had seen documentation, official government documents labeled top secret, that expressed that these extraterrestrials were real and had visited this Earth. I wanted to know just how true all of this was, and I began a program of research to find out if extraterrestrials were real. The first thing I did was collect every bit of documentation that I could find, both from the Freedom of Information Act, from the research of others, from books that had been printed on the subject of UFOs, and of course through my network of friends in the intelligence community. What I discovered was amazing. What I discovered, ladies and gentlemen, is that there has been a plan in existence since about 1917, and probably before that, to create an artificial extraterrestrial threat to this Earth in order to create a one-world totalitarian socialist government. One of the first documents that I found in my search was this one, the Imperial Japanese Mission 1917, a record of the reception throughout the United States of the special mission headed by Viscount Ishii. And when the Imperial Japanese Mission was in New York City, they had a dinner and some pretty famous people spoke at this dinner. One of them was John Dewey. John Dewey is the father of our failing, disastrous public education system. Here's what he said. Listen very carefully. John Dewey, professor of philosophy in Columbia University, who was the next speaker, was listened to with great intentness. He said, quote, "Someone remarked that the best way to unite all the nations on this globe would be an attack from some other planet.
The law of money is called the law of water. This is why, incidentally, the Statue of Liberty could not be put on American land. It was put in a harbor because the Statue of Liberty is a maritime admiralty symbol. It's called the Statue of Liberty, not the Statue of Freedom. There's a world of difference between freedom and liberty. Liberty means you ask your father if you can use the car. If he says no, you don't use it. Liberty is what a sailor gets when he pulls into harbor. He asks the captain if he can leave. If the captain says yes, and he most likely is not going to, but if he says yes, that means you have the liberty. You pull liberty. You don't have freedom. America is not the land of the free and the home of the brave. We're not free or brave. We're ill-informed, entertained, and totally ignorant to the powers that be on this earth and how it works. Let me give you an example of how the law of water works. When you go into a court, why do you have to go to court? As I said, you play tennis and basketball on a court. The whole idea in a court is to put the ball back in the other guy's court. So consequently, this team stands up and throws the ball at that team, and that team stands up and throws the ball back over there. And the judge sits here, and that's what he is, a judge. He's the referee. He doesn't care who wins or loses. Somebody's going to pay. And he's going to get paid, so he doesn't care who wins or loses. He's only there to make sure that the game is played correctly. It's called commerce, because the whole world is commerce. Look up the word commerce in a law dictionary. It'll tell you sexual intercourse. Marriage is a partner. Partner is a term that's used in business. If your business with your partner doesn't work out, you're not going to God, you're going to court. Bring your check and your house and all your property with you, because it's just business, nothing personal.
Dropping them big old facts on us like always. All right, folks, let's talk about what's going on right now. Typically, and I'll just read the caption. A normal human being in war is terrified and broken by it. Look at his hands clenching in the panic of a child. His bladder releasing in the terror of war. You see, war is not natural. It is not normal for human beings to slaughter each other at the bidding of psychopathic, quote-unquote, leaders who send boys to kill who send boys to other lands to kill and die. All for lies and their own profit. And if you've been watching these streams, you probably caught on by now that all these people are connected, nothing is separated, and everything is coordinated. So they're literally playing the game of Risk, and you are participating by consenting to any of their shenanigans. Period. It's really that simple. If you don't understand what I mean, then you need to think on it. Because every year, every month, every week, every day, every hour. An innocent child dies because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And society doesn't give a fuck. And that's what's true. So step it up, folks, because your kid could be next. Your nephew, your cousin, your niece, your daughter, anybody. Your sister, you don't know, your brother. This trap is real. I suggest you get in tune with it.
Human body literally glows, emitting a visible light in extremely small quantities at levels that rise and fall with the day. Past research has shown that the body emits visible light 1,000 times less intense than the levels which can be seen with the naked eye. In fact, virtually all living creatures emit very weak light. To learn more about this faint, visible light, scientists in Japan employed extraordinarily sensitive cameras capable of detecting single photons. 5 healthy male volunteers in their 20s were placed bare-chested in front of the cameras in complete darkness in light, tight rooms for 20 minutes every 3 hours. The researchers found the body glow rose and fell over the day, with its lowest point at 10 a.m. and its peak at 4 p.m., dropping gradually after that. These findings suggest there is light emission linked to the body clock, most likely due to how metabolic rhythms fluctuate over the course of the day. Faces glowed more than the rest of the body. This might be because faces are more tanned than the rest of the body since they get more exposure to sunlight. Dr. Mercola's comments? Gone are the days when words like life energy and aura were relegated to a few books in a
I would say that that glow is honestly
First, these are very soothing, very relaxing.
that glow that we see is really the imaging machine picking up the brain. Why the hell would it pick up the face? The fuck? Shit doesn't make any sense. The difference is clear. Apparently, LED is poison. I'm not in tune with this, so let's find out what's up.
So if we're going to compare incandescent bulbs to LED bulbs, one doesn't have a warning label because it's not going to harm you, and this one has a warning label which talks about how it is emitting radiation the entire time while it's installed into your home. So this could be the big reason that they want to push these. They'll tell you they're going to save energy, they'll tell you they're going to be good for you, but the problem is with blue light, what blue light does is it disrupts the brain, it leads to cataracts, it also leads to memory loss, leads to a lot of issues. First, these are very soothing, very relaxing, and that's why they're trying to ban them. So if we're going to compare incandescent bulbs to LED bulbs, one doesn't have a warning label because it's not going to harm you, and this one has a warning label which talks about how it is emitting radiation the entire time while it's installed into your home. So this could be the big reason that they want to push these. They'll tell you they're going to save energy, they'll tell you they're going to be good for you, but the problem is with blue light, what blue light does is it disrupts the brain, it leads to cataracts, it also leads to memory loss, leads to a lot of issues. First, these are very soothing, very relaxing, and that's why they're trying to ban them. So if we're going to compare
Yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot they were trying to ban incandescent bulbs. Yeah, they haven't gotten away with that, and that's kind of the stuff we're always talking about, right? Um, like they're gonna say whatever to try to get away with it, but getting away with it is just not that simple. It's just not ABC 1 2 3, and that's important to understand. This is why becoming educated in the processes of your land is important. Just going to fucking pretend you're voting like a schmuck isn't doing nothing for you. Sorry, but it's true. Actually learn something, such that you can actually defend your fucking actions and not rely on some third party to fucking tell you if you did good or bad. That's not what America is. And we'll get to that later on in the broadcast. Now, this here is just a border, a random one, a Polish one, apparently. Polish Defense Ministry up here in the upper right. So this is what's happening in Poland. And apparently at every border crossing. That's Western.
We have a president right now.
I haven't watched this. So let's see.
He earns it, actually. He does earn the booze. But you have a president right now who has left our southern border wide open. He's done it on purpose. And if you're going to be really honest, he doesn't even know why he did it. Somebody told him to do so. He doesn't even have the respect for you, the American people, to go down to that southern border and investigate the disaster he created. I started affectionately referring to Joe Biden as the master of disaster. Not Apollo Creed, the real master of disaster. Because his southern border policy has led to an invasion of the United States of America. It has allowed our border agents to have no ability to control what's actually going on our southern border. It has left us wide open. There was a report that came out yesterday of a 20-year-old Palestinian who acquired a gun and who was doing some trainings. He wanted to inflict harm on us here at home. How he got into our country? Oh, I don't know. Take a guess. Probably through the southern border. We have drug cartels who have operational control of said border. We have fentanyl killing 100,000 Americans a year through that southern border. And he doesn't even go. So in the halls of DC, when they say it's time to fund the government, my position has been very clear. I'm not interested in funding a government that doesn't do its first job, which is securing the border of the United States of America. And I got a special message. I have an extra special message for my colleagues in the Senate, Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell. Boys, my mom is probably going to see this recording, so I will. Boys, FAFO. We cannot continue to fund a government that doesn't do its first job, which is securing the border and securing the people of the United States of America. And they might disagree in the Senate, but there's a reason why the Senate has been wrong on every issue facing the United States for 30 years. The time has come for new leadership in Washington. The time has come for the people of this country to speak through their representatives to actually get the job done, to actually get the business done, and not say, oh, we got to wait for another election. Oh, we're only 1/2 of 1/3 of the federal government. We ain't got time for that no more. Don't believe me? Ask Eric Adams, the mayor of New York. Don't boo him too much. We'll do that next election cycle. But right now, they're talking to Joe Biden in the White House. And very quietly, they're saying, you know, you got to fix this southern border thing. This thing's a problem for us. They're taking kids off of soccer fields in New York to build shelters for migrants. They're bringing in translators into classrooms so young black kids and young white kids and young Hispanic kids who were already locked out of the classroom for 2 years in New York City are only going to fall further behind. Back to Mitch and the Senate Republicans. If you don't see that now is the time to squeeze this president and secure the border, I don't think you'll ever see it. I see it. I see it because it's not just Republicans who want to secure a country. You now have Democrats who want a secure country. You have independent voters who want a secure country. And they know full well that Joe Biden's terrible policy has led to a decrease in American security, and it's hitting everybody in their states, not just the people who live on the border in Texas. It's hitting us all. So now's the time to act. And now's the time to hold the line to make sure that our southern border is secure.
I was really hoping for a connection that I hadn't made, but apparently not. So sorry for playing that damn thing, guys.
If this doesn't scare you, you should ask yourself why not. I'm told in a message by someone on the inside, a reliable source, that we now have illegal immigrants working in the care sector, frontline, hands-on with vulnerable people, children, adults, the elderly. They're all from overseas.
That's happening here too in the U.S. Actually. By the way, I sent that to somebody that works in that area so that they knew what they were getting into, or in case they didn't know.
And they're not even at the stage where they've had the paperwork checked. Wait for it. Some of them have no paperwork. We don't know who they are or where they're from, and they've been released in the community to look after our most vulnerable. Add to this country unceremoniously sacked 40,000 care workers from the care industry simply because they were refusing to join in an experimental rollout of a brand new drug that carried risks. They sacked them. This is in an industry that was already short-staffed, and we have malnutrition in care homes. Now they're employing illegal immigrants to take up the slack. What sort of country does that? These people have no paperwork. All the background checks are handed on to third parties, and this isn't going to work. This is dangerous, and it's dangerous for your relatives and my relatives, and it's dangerous eventually for us when we need care, because if it's like this now, what's it going to be like in 5 to 10 years? These people in Parliament that are running this country do not care about you. Your councils do not care about you. All they want is the cheapest fix to any problem, while they spend money on idiotic things like carbon capture. It's all government, the council, the NHS, the care sector, Westminster, it's all government. And they're letting us down at every opportunity and blowing our taxes overseas. There is no government money. There is no government funding. It's taxes from you and me, working all our lives to pay into a system to take care of us. And they've decided to subcontract it to people coming in from anywhere with no paperwork, and many of whom do not have a command of the English language. Ask your MP why this is even happening.
Well, if only she understood that carbon emission that they're trying to get rid of is her, us. So, you know, it's it's game time, people. They're not fucking around. All these immigrants they're letting in, so-called immigrants. Oh, there's actually one video I gotta make sure I play. Hold on. While this one plays, this is, let me read the caption. Matt Gaetz confronts the United States, a United States Air Force official who confirms illegal release of GOP lawmakers' records. Now, these are lawmakers, people at the so-called top politically. What chance do you stand? And this is why I say, do you even understand what's going on a lot of the time? Because I know it's hard for people to keep up with everything, but this shit is happening, and it's your problem to resolve. It's not going to resolve itself. There is no third party that's going to fix this shit. It's got to be you and me and everybody else that watches this and has a brain. I mean, anybody that's alive is involved here. Sorry.
Thank you for that question. So we did have a PII breach, 11 individuals overall. Their data was released.
Well, you say breach. When I hear breach, what I hear is that like someone hacked or broken or got the information. You gave this information.
Yes, we did. No, the
Right.
Air
So it
Force
wasn't a
takes-
breach. It was an illegal release.
It was yes, it was.
Right.
You're right. We take full
How
responsibility
many?
for that. 11.
11.
Yes.
And all Republicans, right?
I don't know the answer to that. I know some of them were, but I think that
But if I represent you, that it's all or almost all Republicans.
almost all Republicans. That's correct. Yes.
And this information was given to the due diligence entity, right?
There was an entity. Yes, it was.
Yeah, and it's
all
an
the
opposition
entity.
research entity that gets hundreds of thousands of dollars from the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee and the Democratic Senatorial campaign apparatus, right?
I don't know that much about due diligence, but I know that we released the information inappropriately.
Why did you do that?
It was an error. We did an investigation as soon as we found out. We notified all of the members in which their data was released. We have put in place multiple layers of checks and balances. We did a retraining.
Who's been fired for doing this?
We have taken the appropriate action.
Okay. Who's been fired?
We've taken the appropriate action.
It's a fascinating answer, just not to my question. Who's been fired?
I can't answer that.
Has a single person been fired?
I do not know the answer to that.
Shouldn't you though? I mean, here we are having recruiting challenges. You guys are releasing personnel information of predominantly Republicans to a Democrat opposition research firm. You run personnel for the United States Air Force, and you can't tell me whether anyone has been fired for this unauthorized release?
Congressman, I can tell you that we have taken the appropriate action.
Well, but
based on
you
our
deem it
facts.
appropriate. But what if we don't? Because we have civilian control of the military. And we may have to change our laws to hold people accountable. And pardon me for not trusting your vague reference to the layers that you've put on. But, Mr. Chairman, I request that this committee get specific answers for what the accountability regime was for this unlawful action by the United States Air Force, and that we not take as an article of faith the representation that they think they've taken the appropriate action. They've taken the illegal, inappropriate action to compromise these records, and I think we should hold them accountable for it.
On that note, General Miller, for the record, can you submit to the committee what those appropriate actions were?
We certainly may.
Okay, I yield 5 minutes to Representative Houlihan.
Thank you very much for your testimony today. I am going to try it and
Imagine the appropriate action. That's all you get, folks.
Thank you for that question.
Crazy. Smart dust in sensors. Robots or devices that measure few millimeters in size can detect states such as light, sound, movement, magnetism, chemicals, and or temperature, and can autonomously share information over a wireless network. Let's tune in.
The inevitability of smart dust. So what is smart dust? Well, smart dust, of course, isn't a new concept. It originated with DARPA back in the 90s. And its general purpose...
Not even new. God damn.
Computing, sensors, wireless networking, all bundled up into millimeter scale sensor modes, drifting in the air currents, flecks of computing power settling on your skin, ingested, monitoring you inside and out. And you haven't really seen anything yet. So this is closer to the end of the vision. This powder-sized chip, and that's a salt crystal. So this is a small thing. It's something called the Mu chip from Hitachi. It's the smallest commercially available RFID system in the world, and can be pulse powered by radio waves. It doesn't require a battery. You can literally scatter this stuff like dust or embed it into a sheet of paper. And you know what the really interesting thing about this technology is? This was commercially released 10 years ago. We're still essentially at the banging the rocks together stage for this sort of stuff. And you haven't really seen anything.
Well, all I can say is stuff to think about, because if that's what they were doing in the 90s, this is about 30, 40 years later, folks. Yeah. Stuff to think about. So this is happening in Ireland. Developments in Ireland as pushback against the globalist engineered mass illegal immigration takes place. Let's tune in. That's a lot of people. Berlin.
Democracy is a form of government based upon the principle of majority rule, period. End of discussion. Now, that's not very complicated. Majority rule. It's easy to understand, easy to sell to the masses, and I might add, deadly. For example, what would you call a lynch mob? That's majority rule. There's only one dissenting vote, and he's at the end of the rope. Now, that's pure democracy in action. But wait a minute, you say. The majority should rule, yes, but not to the extent of destroying the rights of the minority. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are no longer describing a democracy. We are speaking of a republic. A republic is a limited democracy. It's a form of government based upon the principle of limited majority rule. Limited so that the minority, even a minority of one, can be protected against the whims and passions of the majority. And how do you protect the minority from the majority? You write down a set of rules on a piece of paper. You say, this we can do, that we cannot. At the top of the paper, you write the word Constitution. And then everyone agrees to follow the rules no matter what the temptation. And when you're finished, you've created a constitutional republic.
Yep. I hope that was pretty straightforward, folks. Huge difference there. Now, this clip came across, and it's not anything really mind-boggling, but it's a whole minute's worth of a lot of children from 1900. Now, I'm from New York. You know, there's a lot of poor people here, people with no families, yada, yada. And guess what? We got some of the biggest populations in the world. One of the biggest populations in the world. And yet and still, there is not a single orphanage with that many fucking kids in it. So what are all these kids doing? And where the hell did they come from? Look at that. I've never seen an orphanage with that many kids. I mean, if I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments, but I find this to be supremely suspect. Where the hell did all these kids come from? Where are their parents? Yada, yada, etc., etc. And don't tell me World War One, because there's only males doing that. It wasn't females. So, what's up? Put me on. Let me know. School me to the goods. Because this shit here crazy. This is why eating clean is so important. Let's watch in.
This is what happens to your body when you have acid reflux. When you swallow, food passes down your throat and through your esophagus or food tube to your stomach. A muscle called the lower esophageal sphincter controls the opening between the esophagus and the stomach. This muscle remains tightly closed except when you swallow food. When the sphincter fails to close, the acid-containing contents of the stomach can travel back up into the esophagus. This backward movement is called reflux. When stomach acid enters the lower part of the esophagus, it can produce a burning sensation commonly referred to as heartburn. It's common to have gastroesophageal reflux once in a while. However, if it happens more than twice a week for a few weeks, you may have a more serious condition called gastroesophageal reflux disease. If left untreated, GERD can lead to complications like esophagitis or esophageal stricture. GERD may cause you to breathe stomach acid into your lungs, which can lead to respiratory problems such as asthma or chest congestion.
God damn. That shit is serious. All right, well, glad I played that video because I had no idea what was up with that. Let's listen in. Seems like there's some timely events going on here. Should be interesting. Oh, what's up? Why is this not playing? All right. Sorry about that, guys. Let's listen in. Crazy. I've never actually seen that, but that's crazy to watch. Let's see that again. Let's check the tape one more time. Wow. That's what I call giving no fucks. All right, let's see what these scumbags have to say today. Oh, now they're coming for your coffee. Nice.
20 ton of CO2 per ton of coffee. We'll be having our coffee before the session, and you raised the coffee example. I'd love just to give you the chance to expand on that. Basically, the coffee that we all drink emits between 15 and 20 ton of CO2 per ton of coffee. So we should all know that this is every time we drink coffee, we are basically putting CO2 into the atmosphere. One of the reasons is because most of the coffee plantation, or most of the coffee is produced through monoculture, and monoculture is also affected by climate change. The quality of these nature assets is deteriorating quite rapidly.
You know, I don't think that that's the fundamental. I don't think the technology is the fundamental issue in democracy. Democracy is messy. I mean, you know, democracy is about contestation of ideas. It's about plurality. It's about people having different truths. Actually, now, fundamentally, how society lives together civically in those contestations is obviously quite tricky. But I think that if we play too much on this disinformation card, we're taking responsibility away from ourselves to actually create a narrative that inspires people to vote and to believe in democracy and democratic institutions. On the institutional part, I think that we can talk about institutions as these abstract things, but institutions are also about people. And we just heard this point about untrustworthy people, and we talked about things in the United States like checks and balances, which aren't written anywhere but are customs. And one man, Donald Trump, literally came in and just took that all away. But when I see this, when I look at this, more globally regarding democracy, I also say to myself, when was this great time that everybody got along so well, and things were going so great? I mean, I think I think that we really have to be careful here in this nostalgia for a time past, because a lot of the reactions we're seeing in society are actually reactions to positive things like equality for women, and greater diversity, which come with backlash.
The current pandemic has brought unimaginable devastation to people's lives, livelihoods, and national economies. At the same time, the green recovery represents an unprecedented opportunity to rethink and reset the ways in which we live and do business. Now, I've long believed that we need a shift in our economic model that places nature and the world's transition to net zero at the heart of how we operate, prioritizing the pursuit of sustainable, inclusive growth in the decades to come. Having been championing climate action now for the last, I suppose 40 years, I can tell you that this isn't a fight for the faint-hearted. However, increasingly, we are seeing more and more businesses, investors, and consumers prioritizing sustainability and thus creating a much more virtuous circle of supply and demand. By leveraging market forces and the immense resources of the private sector, there is hope that we can transform the situation. But I'm afraid we are literally at the last hour, and there is real urgency for action. We know now what we have to do to rescue the situation, rather than going on talking about it.
Now let's read this caption. This is an address to the World Economic Forum. And this is a recent address. Very important to understand. So if you think these migrants coming in isn't nothing, I suggest you pucker
This is the
up,
same one that
buttercup.
Baphomet carried. Proof the Pope worships Satan. Remember, symbolism is the language of the occultist elites. We can start with the mitre. It resembles the head of a fish. The mitre was originally worn by Dagon, a pagan demon from ancient Babylonian times. The double serpent staff that the Pope carries is the same one that Baphomet carries. The all-seeing eye of Lucifer is in and around the Vatican and Roman Catholic churches. The Vatican also owns a telescope named Lucifer. Can't forget about the Pope's audience hall, which looks like a serpent on the inside. When the human race learns to read the language of symbolism, a great veil will fall from the eyes of men. Proof the Pope worships Satan. Remember, symbolism is the language of the occultist elites.
Worth watching twice.
We can start with the mitre. It resembles the head of a fish. The mitre was originally worn by Dagon, a pagan demon from ancient Babylonian times. The double serpent staff that the Pope carries is the same one that Baphomet carries. The all-seeing eye of Lucifer is in and around the Vatican and Roman Catholic churches. The Vatican also owns a telescope named Lucifer. Can't forget about the Pope's audience hall, which looks like a serpent on inside. When the human race learns to read the language of symbolism, a great veil will fall from the eyes of proof the Pope worship.
As I roll, let's get into some health.
Put everyone over the age of 40 on cholesterol-lowering medication, yeah? Are you ready for the side effects? Dementia, muscle wasting, Alzheimer's, memory loss, and they've just added another one, breast cancer. I'll tell you a story to illustrate. I had a lady and a man attend my programs in New Zealand. I think that was about 2 years ago. They were in their early 70s. Tuesday night, I spoke on heart disease, where I revealed what's happening with cholesterol. They came to me on Thursday. They said, we need to talk to you. I said, yes. The man looked at his wife and she just had her head down. He said, we're about to put my wife in aged care. He said she was leaving the iron on. We got to the point where we won't be able to handle her. He said, we came to your lecture and we heard what the cholesterol-lowering medication does. She's been on it for 10 years. It was Lipitor. There's a whole book written on the dangers of Lipitor. He said, so we stopped because they heard me say there will be a side effect to stopping Lipitor. Your memory will return. He said to me, we're on our third day, and he said, I've got my wife back. He said, we are not putting her. We did not want to, but he said it was getting so difficult. And they both had tears in their eyes. How many people are in aged care with dementia and Alzheimer's and memory loss, and it's the cholesterol-lowering medication? I believe personally this verges on criminal, especially when you hear what I'm about to say. You can reverse osteoporosis. Don't take calcium supplements, whatever you do. Have you noticed in aged care, all the old people are on calcium supplements and they've all got osteoporosis. Now do the maths. No, just go out in the sun. Bones are made of 12 minerals. They're made of boron, calcium, chromium, iron, magnesium, mangazine, silica, sulfur, and selenium, and potassium, and phosphorus, and zinc. That's what bones are made of. They're not made of calcium. Calcium hardens cement, does not harden bones. It hardens the tissue. It contributes to atherosclerosis. The Calcium Lie is a book by Dr. Robert Thompson. He says, we go to med school, we learn this. We come out of med school, the blinkers go up.
When we think of energy, we think of like Rockefellers, and we think of like electricity. We think of what we have today. We don't think of using a material such as mercury to harness that free energy. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you something on this topic. So this is my video. So this is mercury, and this is a voltmeter, so you guys can see. And as we see, that voltmeter starts to increase as we spin it. And I wanted to test this because I wanted to see.
This is your own test. You've done this yourself. So we're watching a real-time result right there.
That's my hand, the copper hand, so you can know. I put it's my trademark right there. So then I do it with the copper right there. So I just decided to show you with copper as well. And I spun that just to show that there's voltage being created. And I think that's important because even if there's a small amount of that, just to right there. So then I the copper hand, so you can know. I put it's my trademark right there. So then I do it with the copper right there. So I just decided to show you with copper as well. And I spun that just to show that there's voltage.
I guess the video freezes while the copper shows voltage
being created. And I think that's important because even if there's a small amount of voltage, that's energy. So if you just spin mercury, that's it. You start to create energy. So think of how much free energy you could have with just a little thing of mercury, which you better stay away from that, as they will tell you. And then we move to this one, which is the next video, just so you guys can see this. So then mercury, key to free energy. And this is what happens when it spins. I'll just start this. and you can kind of see, well, once electricity is, pumped into the mercury, you can see what mercury starts to do. And then the guy below is actually creating an antenna with mercury so that he can pick up every station within like 100 miles. So this is where mercury gets really interesting, because it is picking up on everything and can be used to harness energy. And then this is another one. So he's just showing how you can light up light bulbs and doing a little salt water, a little mercury. And salt water is another one too, because you can make free energy batteries. And then so this is him and his little antenna. You can see that.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, people figuring it out, You can figure out how to get every single station you ever wanted to watch. You don't got to pay for cable anymore. You just need a little piece of mercury.
Well, that's all fine and dandy, and I do recommend, playing, because that's what the world is for. What I do not recommend is you publicizing it on a public forum for all to indulge in as if you're somebody's savior, because as we all know, they do come after people for that shit. And I'll tell you what, it ain't worth it. Sharing knowledge is one thing. Providing an actual solution that doesn't involve everyone is not a thing, because that's when we continue to fail. So let's keep on tuning in. Oh, we're already past an hour, man. Today's stream is great. I didn't even realize it. Holy shit. All right, let's see if there's anything else.
When we think of energy, we think of like
there's some plenty left. All right. So man who made videos. This is the guy I played probably last week sometime. And apparently they came at dude and he made a video about it. Let's check it out.
Email. So for those of you who don't know, I am a critic of the current economy. And recently I've been posting my thoughts on the economy. And, obviously it's not good. I'm not saying it's Trump's fault. I'm not saying it's Biden's fault. I'm not saying it's anyone's fault. But obviously Biden is president and the economy sucks. So, naturally the blame lies on him. And some of these videos of me being extremely critical of the government have gone so viral that I was literally featured at 7 p.m. on prime time on Fox News the other night. And this morning I got an email from someone claiming to be from the Democratic Party. And they said, what would your rate be to post positive videos about Joe Biden? And I replied back, honestly, I know nothing about the economy. I don't pretend to know anything about the economy. And I know nothing about politics, and I'd rather stay out of it. After all, I'm just a normal guy. I'm not a politician. I'm not a conservative or a liberal talking point. I'm just a normal person. So they responded back, we understand you're not a fan of the Democrat Party right now. How much would it cost? I was like, you know what? I wonder how bad they want me to post this. 50 grand. And they said yes. For those of you that don't know anything about social media, I have another account that's massive. And for brand deals on my 3 million follower account, I get like 5 grand. They offer me 50 grand for a video on this account with only like 400,000 followers. I'm not going to lie. I was very, very tempted, but I didn't do it.
Well, there you have it, folks. We are officially Russia. So stop fucking pretending and wake the fuck up. Because the next thing is that they just coming and popping motherfuckers individually. Good luck.
Who do we have here?
Alex Nicol.
Alex.
Let's read a little bit of the caption. Australian government whistleblower completely blows the lid off the net zero scam. Ooh, this should be juicy for all you Tesla driving losers.
You used to work for the federal government.
I did, yeah, for 7 years.
Doing what?
I was policy advisor for a Liberal Party senator.
Okay. And tell you were saying about you working with the windmills?
Yeah, so the area that I was working in was renewable energy. And basically, it was my job to uncover a lot of the stuff that was going on with the Renewable Energy Act, which was put in 2002 under the Howard government. So that was the Liberal Party put the act in place. And
2002, in case you guys missed that part, which was pretty important. In fact, let's rewind a little bit.
The renewable energy to uncover was working in was renewable energy. And basically, it was my job to uncover a lot of the stuff that was going on with the Renewable Energy Act, which was put in 2002 under the Howard government. So that was the Liberal Party put the Act in place, and I was looking at the mess that it had created. And what a lot of people don't understand is that the Renewable Energy Act creates a subsidy environment where if you build wind turbines, you're paid between $600,000 and $900,000 per turbine per year as a subsidy alone.
Well, if it's on your property.
No. So what happens is the wind company comes in and leases, they pay a lease to the farmer to build the wind turbines, and that in effect makes sure that the farmer is still liable for the turbine.
Okay.
And they pay a lease of $12,000 a year usually, and the company gets paid between $600,000 and $900,000 per turbine per year.
So they pay $12,000 to the farmer, but they get $600,000
Exactly.
per turbine.
Yeah.
Which is a big incentive to put in turbines.
Yeah, and the landowner takes the liability for the turbine.
So he gets $12,000 a year, but if anything happens to it, he's got to fix it, or she's got to fix it.
Yeah, when they catch on fire,
Yeah.
they're responsible for their neighbours' properties going up in smoke. That kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And effectively that money, the subsidy that's getting paid to the wind farms is reaming $40 billion a year out of the Australian economy. And it's paid by everyone, every pensioner, householder, schools, hospitals, everyone. It's not just out of your tax, it comes out of your power bill.
Is this why power bills are going up?
Yeah. That's why
power bills are going up to pay for wind turbines that don't work.
Exactly.
And why don't they work?
So they don't work because, for a start, they draw power off the grid. So they have to have coal-fired power in order to turn. They're not windmills, they're turbines. And essentially...
Sorry, what do you mean? The power to turn. So when we see them turning, that's not the wind, that's the power generator turning.
Essentially, they have to draw power off the grid. So they have to draw coal-fired power off the grid in order to turn. And what happens when the wind picks up, they do actually start to create electricity of their own, but that electricity is so intermittent and unreliable, when it gets back to the grid, it has to be balanced on the grid, which you can't do. And like with your coal-fired power station, you can't ramp your coal-fired power stations up and down. So the coal-fired power station stays at the same level because it takes 24 to 48 hours for them to get up to heat anyway, and they just let off steam as the wind comes onto the grid. So there's absolutely nothing about them that works apart from reaming that amount of money out of the Australian economy, and it's going offshore.
Well, I'm pretty sure we all know where it's going by now. And it's not just China. Let's check this out. Food that's common in the U.S. but banned in other countries.
We know. It's common in the U.S.
Brace yourselves, Americans. Everybody else, you can just ignore this part.
But banned in other countries. Sun-kissed orange. This drink contains yellow 6 and red 40 that are restricted in Europe and banned in Norway and Austria. These dyes are associated with allergies, hyperactivity, and learning impairment in children. And then we have Lunchables. Lunchables have BHA, which is considered a human carcinogen and is banned in Japan, Europe, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. And then we have the good old ice cream, which has carrageenan, which is banned in Australia, much of Europe, and the UK. This chemical may pose health risks, including respiratory problems, digestive issues, and immune issues. Well, now we know. It's common in the U.S.
Yo.
Yes.
See?
No, I've seen it before.
Now, when I saw that, all I thought was, damn, we really don't know anything about animals. You know, and I don't pretend to be no damn animal anything. But actually, there is one more to show. Two more to show. I'm sorry, I forgot. There's two more to show. And they're very important. And then we'll wrap it up. First one has to do with the CCP. Second one has to do CCP in the UK, mind you. The first one, or the second one, is here in domestically, the US. I mean, shit, it's just wild what's happening over here. But let's see what's going on in the UK first. Sorry, guys, I shared the screen without sharing audio. I don't even know why I have to toggle that option. Just like make it automatic, bro. Otherwise, I would not be sharing the screen. All right, let's listen.
No, it's not a legal thing. It is a.
So, first of all, what's going on here? These people are just playing the piano. There's tons of clips. You guys probably seen it. I just want to cover it on stream because it's pretty important. Today in Britain, the CCP demanded a piano player in a public place to stop filming because they were in the background in Britain. Clearly, that's not illegal or unlawful. And here are the CCP gang members right there.
Yeah, no, can the Chinese Jeffries have a go?
Oh yeah, of course we've got the Chinese here.
Do you need to, I see, because we're here film for Chinese TV as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, did you film as all of us in your cameras?
I don't know. Are we allowed?
No,
we're not allowed.
So
We're not allowed.
You're not allowed because we're for Chinese TV.
Oh, okay.
This is non-disclosable.
It's not disco.
There's no reason. That's our choice. That's our right.
Oh, so it's not a legal thing.
It is a legal thing because.
Yes, you can. Yes, and anyone can film because in the UK it's a free country and anyone can film.
Right.
Not in public. In China, but we're not in China.
No, I have my choice. I don't want
but
my...
we are in Britain, Great Britain. We're not in China.
I say I'm also British. I'm also British, okay? I'm also British, but I don't want to use my image.
You've got a Chinese flag
there. It doesn't matter.
Show me the Chinese flag.
Why you're touching her? Stop touching her! Don't touch her, please. Do not touch her, please. You are not the same age. Please do not touch her. Don't touch her. Please don't touch her. Please don't.
I'll tell you guys what. You can get the fuck out my face with that shit. Wake up, y'all. They in your back door. They're in your back motherfucking door. This is here in the U.S. Georgia Senate Judiciary Committee. Lawmakers in a state of shock. Dominion machines were hacked in real time in a Fulton County polling location. Quote, we are in. Now, this was yesterday. Needed to be shown. Let's watch.
On election day in a precinct, are your machines hooked up to the internet?
No, not by any stretch. We go through a number of certifications, government certifications, and the first one is at a federal level. So those standards mandate that election systems, such as ours, are designed to work in a closed system, air-gapped, no intranet.
Mr. Chairman and the committee members, I
respectfully request that you afford just a couple minutes to Javon Pulitzer. He's just informed me of some very serious new evidence that he's just obtained from a Fulton County voting polling place within the last hour. And I think this committee needs to hear this.
Okay, we'll give. Can you do it just a couple of minutes, 2 minutes?
We'll swear up and down that none of these machines were connected to the internet.
Was working on this and our technology teams into it, and as was broke early in the week and last week about connected devices, at this very moment at a polling location in the county, not only do we now have access through the devices to the poll pad, the system, but we are in. And it's not supposed to have Wi-Fi, and that's not supposed to be able to happen. So we've documented now. It's communicating two ways in real time, meaning it's receiving data and sending data. Should never happen, shouldn't be Wi-Fi. We've now documented it in real time, so we've shut down the data. But that's going on right there where everybody's voting. And I just wanted to get it into the record.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Jones.
One is it a mobile precinct or is it?
Did you guys catch that? No matter what you do at the voting booth, they got somebody that can just flip the switch. So voting is not the solution, because this is going to happen again. And they're not going to be afraid to do it. They already got away with it. What's another time?
No, it's a standing building.
Okay.
That this should not happen. And shouldn't happen in any way, but this is another one in real time. Won't disclose location because every location is being checked, but we've now confirmed it 100%.
Right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Senator Beach, did you? And now comes Still Beach and Tillery. Did you have a question? Okay, well, Senator Tillery.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. We've heard that there's 3 different types of machines: a scanner, a ballot marking device, and a polling pad.
Right.
Do you know which one it is communicating, or can you tell that? Or
Right now, what you heard in the past was coming through the thermostat and stuff. This is now a more direct access way, and so this is coming through the polling pad device where they're checking everything. But now, it only takes one device where you daisy chain them together and do it. The most important thing is that shouldn't be two-waying and even shouldn't be accessible or on, and it's there. Were there any other questions?
Can I ask him one question? What effect could somebody with dishonest purposes, what could that person do given this access that's going on right now in Fulton County?
Statistically, what can be going on when you have an operation like this is as that data is being exchanged and somebody's in it, can actually siphon off that data, modify the data, and feed it right back into the system.
Internet. And that's based on propaganda being pushed by companies like Dominion Voting Systems. They will say that they have an air gap. They will say that they have firewalls in place. They have encryption in place. And I hope to demonstrate here that that doesn't mean a heck of a lot. Any hacker worth their salt knows that if one computer is connected to the internet, they're all connected to the internet, firewall or not. And so here's a diagram that I put together based on, this is literally midnight the next night before I forgot everything. I wanted to make sure I document everything that was there. I went through and physically traced all the cables from all the tabulators and adjudicators to the local data center at the top. So it's that local data center that we have election officials that did confirm that that was connected to the internet, but they said none of the tabulators or anything else were connected to the internet. I can show physical connection between those tabulator machines via Ethernet cables, 2 routers or managed switch. It's tough to tell from 12 feet away. But it's a router type of device connected to all the other devices on this network. And as Colonel Waldron pointed out, it's designed to work as a network. And so all these tabulators were connected to one another. All the adjudicators were connected to one another. The local data center that they acknowledged was connected to the internet were connected to these tabulators and adjudicators. So, and so if that wasn't enough, we went around to all the different computers and observed in the bottom right-hand corner of all the computers, I can't do this because it defaults into a certain slide presentation mode, but if you have laptops that are window enabled and you're connected to the internet, you roll over that and you got a Windows 10 device, roll your mouse cursor over in that bottom right-hand corner and you'll see a LAN internet connection icon. And you roll over it, it's going to pop up and say connected to the internet. They wouldn't do that test for me to go off and demonstrate that. Yeah. So
now I don't know if you know what he's talking about, but it's a very basic thing. So yeah, let's hear the last clip.
Snapshot of what the Wi-Fi connections were at that point in time. And one of them is called AV_connect. I wonder what that was connecting. Part of their spec that they have in the contract with the state of Michigan that are supposed to be connected via Ethernet cables. And they even have cellular-based modems that they can plug into a lot of these items to transfer the data over the internet. They've got a Dominion Tech support manual that says connect it to the Ethernet. There's no denying that this was network connected. And by the way, even if they say it wasn't connected to the internet, in the Detroit AV Accounting Board, I can trace a physical connection that says that the system that was used to tabulate 172,000 plus votes in the state of Michigan was all networked together. So even if it wasn't some guy sitting in an ice shanty in Antarctica connected to the internet, that one guy in the city of Detroit that had access to all that information could modify the votes locally there. And so why does it matter? Well, we already talked about these man-in-the-middle attacks. We talked about there in the Sidney Powell lawsuit that's out there. There's additional exhibits that highlight that these passwords are available on the internet. And when you have a man-in-the-middle attack, you think you're getting the right data. You think you're talking to the right person, but you ain't. You're talking to an in-between guy. We also got NAIST that left a key under the mat. What do I mean by that? All the specs on what files to look for, what their file size is, everything else for the voting system is left up on the internet for everybody to go off and I went there myself. I could download this file, took that extract from it. You can find out everything you need to go off and manipulate as a hacker.
On election day in a precinct, are your machines hooked up to the internet?
No, not by any stretch. We go through a number.
So there you have it, folks. That's everything in a nutshell. They lie to your face. You know, they don't give a shit. So you got to be on your P's and Q's now. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but I think it's Massachusetts and West Virginia so far are the first two states to ask people to house immigrants. Or Illinois, sorry, it was Illinois, not West Virginia. So Illinois and Massachusetts, first two states to ask that of citizens, FYI. Any Tom, Dick, and Harry. No, not anybody special. So that's something you guys need to understand is happening. Real time. Like, they don't give a fuck, man. That's real talk. So it's time for people to start really talking about this, sharing this information. Because guess what? It's going to come and smack you in the face no matter what. Have a good night, y'all. Peace. Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's the secret. The Godwell told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. These motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. Man, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all deep. Everybody.